Hello, everybody. Hopefully, you had a good Memorial Day weekend, and we're continuing our devotions today. And a couple of you guys have asked to hear about anxiety, and it totally makes sense. I mean, a lot of us struggle with anxiety as it is, and now with all the coronavirus going on, the way it has, how long it has, and then even thinking about what could be next, anxiety could be through the roof. And so we're going to spend a couple of days devotions on this. And I just want to give you a couple practical things. I'm not an expert, I'm not a therapist or a counselor. But in fact, if your anxiety is at that level, God gave us these things as resources. Medicine is not contrary to God. It is something that He has given, and sometimes that is needed. We just don't want to run to medication right away. Same with counseling, There's absolutely nothing wrong with counseling, and so those are two options that you have as well, depending on the level and the chemical makeup of anxiety. And so, as a Christian, as a pastor, I don't want to just like brush this off and be like, "Oh, you just gotta pray over it. You just gotta focus on God." And like, yes, those things are definitely going to be helpful, and those need to be part of the equation, no matter what level of anxiety it is. But just know He has given us those things as a resource. We just don't want to abuse them. And ironically, today's verse has to do with prayer and focusing on God. So Philippians 4, and it's cool because Pastor Doss has told us to read through Philippians this week, and so here we are in Philippians 4. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. So at the beginning of this verse, it says, "Do not be anxious about anything." We can quickly take that and be like, "Oh yeah, so stop being anxious." But that's not what he's saying. He's saying the way you deal with anxiety and wondering what's going to happen and all this. Remember, at snow camp, what was said: unchecked worry leads to anxiety. And so if we worry and worry, and we don't really do anything about it, or we don't you go about it the right way, it's going to become anxiety that controls us a little more than we can control it. So in this verse, in Philippians 4, verse 6, when he says, "Do not be anxious," the next part is saying, this is how you're not anxious. And so, what is he talking about here? He's talking about prayer. So, what it's really getting at here is, what is your prayer life like? And how do you really view prayer? That's what it's really getting to. Because if we have a distorted view of prayer and we have a distorted practice of prayer, then we can't just be like, "Oh, hey, I'm bringing my stuff to God and He's supposed to fix it and make my anxiety go away." That's not the prescription He's giving here about praying to God. He's not saying, "Hey, just ask God to take it away and eventually He will." That's not what He's saying. Remember what prayer is. Prayer is all about an attitude. Prayer, we've talked about this in youth group a couple times, even at the very beginning of the coronavirus lockdown. Prayer is about attitude and how you view God, your relationship and direct communication with God. What is that like? Is it genuine and authentic? Is it with real desire for God, or is it more of seeing Him as a genie? And it says supplication, meaning go to Him over and over and over again. And so bring everything you have to God. And as you communicate with Him, as you sit there in silence at times, as you meditate on who He is, what He does, what He has done, and what He's capable of, you start to see your problems and you start to see these things as so minute. And there's other places in the Bible that talks about that, and now's not the time to get into that, but coming to God with the right prayer attitude, not just asking Him to take things away or fix things or whatever, but really, really communing with the God of the universe. So, where is your prayer life? What is it like? And why do you use it? That's what Paul, as he writes this, is getting to. So hopefully you guys do read Philippians, because this chapter 4 is amazing. Soon he talks about what to think about, and that also really gets into anxiety and controlling our thoughts. So check out verse 8 and 9, and see what it talks about our thought life in this, and how that can play into our anxiety. All right, we love you guys. We're praying for you.